An Oral History of Vista. The 1800s. Our story begins in 1858. Robert Mackley, a blind man residing in Leicester, advocated for something to be done to support those who were blind, appealing to Samuel Harris and his father William Harris, who were local solicitors. Following this, the Leicester Association for Promoting the General Welfare of the Blind was formed in 1859 by the solicitors, establishing a workshop where blind people could be taught trades. The Right Honourable Earl Howe of Gopsall donated £20 and became the first president of the charity. In July of the same year, a house and shop were leased at 86 High Street, Leicester, with Robert appointed superintendent and provided with living accommodation. The first 6 blind people were admitted to the workshop for tuition, with a shop open to sell the products made in the workshop. Robert's tenure was short-lived, however, with a resignation in September of the same year due to ill health. Moving into the 1860s, a branch opened in Melton Mowbray in 1861, supporting people with sight loss outside of the city. In 1867, the first home teacher was appointed and became known as the Bible Woman, who would visit people in their homes and read to them. At the time, 80 blind people were registered as residing in Leicester, and the association secured a bank loan of £880 to purchase 86 High Street outright. Jumping ahead to 1870, Earl Howe passed away in March and was replaced by Charles Cecil John, the 6th Duke of Rutland. In the same year, a surgeon was appointed to certify that those with a visual loss qualified for the benefits of the association, and a library was established with Moon-type books, precursors to modern-day Braille. Local blind children also began to be sent to specialist schools in Birmingham and Nottingham. In 1873, the workshop was rebuilt to double its capacity, and the first cottage home was opened in Albion Street, a small house supporting 4 aged or infirm blind women. The association was bequeathed £6,500 in 1876. In 1882, newly built premises were opened at 42 Granby Street, containing a workshop, retail shop, and offices. Additional shop and warehouse premises were also leased in the town centre. In August of 1882, the Duke of Rutland passed away and was replaced by Earl Howe, the son of the first Earl Howe. In 1888, one of our founders, Samuel Harris, resigned as honorary secretary after 36 years. At the turn of the century, another cottage home was purchased at 17 Albion Street to replace the original home. The early half of the 1900s. Moving to the 1900s, 1901 marked 50 years of service, with 32 blind people from Leicester and the county employed in the workshop. 1,170 visits were made by the home teacher in this year, and 188 people were now on the sight loss register in Leicestershire. The library's book count had also expanded by this point, now including books in Braille. 1908 saw the retail shop enlarged and remodelled. 1910 saw the passing of both Samuel and William Harris, the founders of the charity. In 1913, a seaside holiday scheme for blind workers was introduced in Mablethorpe and Skegness. In 1919, Alderman Arthur Wakeley, who had been associated with the society since 1897 and was the current mayor of Leicester, donated land in Margaret Road, intended for a new workshop. Alderman Wakeley accepted an invitation to join the committee. In 1919, a special general meeting agreed that a limited company should be created, the Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland Incorporated Institution for the Blind. In the same year, the Mayor's Fund raised £14,000 towards the cost of constructing a new workshop. In 1920, the Blind Persons Act was implemented, meaning local authorities were now responsible for making arrangements to promote the welfare of blind people living in their areas. 1923 saw the completion of the new workshop, officially opened on Margaret Road. 1923 also saw the Daisy Day Committee for the Blind organise an annual Flag Day which raised funds for the institution. In 1926, the organisation was visited by the Prince of Wales, and in 1932, the work of the institution was recognised with the highest honour the sovereign could bestow, the use of the word royal in its title. The same year, 200 wireless sets were installed in the homes of blind people, and social centres established in a number of county areas. With the outbreak of the Second World War, 1,000 people were now registered as blind across Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland, with 102 people employed by the workshops. In 1939, a large house for 22 holidaymakers was purchased in Bournemouth to be used as a holiday home. This was intended to be the Rutland Home for the Blind, but was sold 5 years after its purchase due to management challenges. The National Assistance Act passed in 1948, placing a legal duty on local authorities to provide essential services for blind people. The charity became the agent of the City of Leicester and both county councils to carry out the requirements of the Act. Lindwood Home for the Blind opened in the same year, providing home to 23 elderly blind ladies. Prebend House was purchased for use as a social centre in 1953. RNIB's Talking Book service launched in the same year and was run locally by the charity. In 1954, the centenary of the institution was celebrated at Leicester Cathedral, with Prebend House becoming the first locally based social and rehab centre in the United Kingdom. A caravan was purchased outside Hunstanton in Norfolk for self-catering holidays in 1958. The 60s and early 70s. In 1964, the retail shop in Granby Street closed after 82 years of trading. The pattern of production in the workshop had changed to the extent that during the previous 3 years, less than 10% of the output was suitable for the retail trade. The cardboard box department expanded and became a major part of the workshop activities. 1964 saw the construction of a new office in Margaret Road. Lindwood Home was sold in 1966 in favour of the construction of accommodation for 44 residents at the Kathleen Rutland Home for the Blind on Hinckley Road. In the same year, the Leicester Blind Bowling Club was launched at Prebend House. 1966 also saw 2 more visits from royalty, with Princess Alexandra visiting Prebend House and the Duchess of Kent officially opening Kathleen Rutland House. In 1967, a furnished holiday chalet was purchased at Skegness for self-catering holidays. The year after, in 1968, the mobility service was introduced, including cane training. In 1970, 12 bungalows were constructed within the grounds of Leicester Forest East, named Rutland Close and adjacent to Kathleen Rutland House. This was to support independent but supported living. A second holiday chalet was also purchased at Skegness. In 1971, new social services departments were created, and social welfare officers for the blind became the responsibility of the local authority. The 70s. 1st of April 1971 saw the charity merge with another organisation, the Royal Leicestershire, Rutland and Wycliffe Society for the Blind. We need to rewind back to the 1890s for context on this second organisation. The Wycliffe Society for Helping the Blind was formed by Charles Harris and Edwin Crewe in 1893, with Reverend J. Ernest Jones becoming the first president. In 1899, the Society opened cottage homes on land between Gedding Road and Margaret Road with a live-in housekeeper to support communal living, and in 1901, grants for blind people were established. In 1906, a small multi-purpose centre on the corner of Gwendolyn and Gedding Road was opened, before Victoria Hall was purchased in 1914. The new hall consisted of 2 rooms, a large room on the ground floor to be used for religious services, meetings and concerts, plus a smaller room at first floor level designed for use as a workroom and library. In 1915, the organisation acquired more land to build 6 cottages for blind workers next to Wycliffe Hall. In 1931, Wycliffe Hall became a hospital and home of rest and officially opened. A suggestion to amalgamate the organisation with the Royal Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland Institution for the Blind was first made and rejected in 1949. The organisation proceeded to convert the 6 residential cottages into a larger shared living home for up to 26 blind men and women in 1970. Arriving back in 1971, discussion of a merger arose once more, with both organisations joining forces to become the Royal Leicestershire, Rutland and Wycliffe Society for the Blind. On the 1st of April 1973, this new entity came into being. In 1976, new Wycliffe Home was completed with 44 places, plus a hostel for 10 workers. The Duchess of Kent officially opened the home in October of the same year, before Prebend House closed and was sold at the end of December. The same year, Alec Crombie joined the organisation as the first visually impaired trustee. In 1977, the day centre, previously situated at Prebend House, opened at New Wycliffe Home, and Hunter Lodge was leased as residents were transferred to the new home. Philip Parkinson became General Secretary, and 6 cottages in Bedding Road were converted into self-contained flats. Increasing demands in 1979 resulted in the first major financial crisis of the Society's history, with an appeal for £100,000 launched to save services. 2 years later, financial recovery was achieved from debt to a positive bank balance. The 80s. In 1981, the basket department in the workshop closed down, having been seriously affected by the industrial recession. A one-day seminar for visually impaired people in Leicester and Leicestershire was attended by 307 blind and partially sighted people, providing the first opportunity for them to influence the Society's services. This seminar shaped future policy decisions, and the following year the Visiting Project was launched with the support of a grant enabling the employment of 6 temporary staff to visit every blind and partially sighted person where practical throughout Leicestershire. New registered days were also introduced and held at the day centre. In 1982, Leicestershire Consumer Council for Blind and Partially Sighted People was launched, with Alec Crombie as its first chairman. Following this, the society celebrated its 125th anniversary in 1983. In 1984, 2,427 people were recorded on the register as blind, with 1,153 partially sighted. On the 5th of October 1984, the organisation received a record donation of £450,000 from the Three Horseshoes pub. In 1986, a 3-bedded emergency care unit to offer accommodation to meet a range of emergency situations and additional short stays was opened at Kathleen Rutland Home. In the same year, building works began to replace the day centre with a new resources centre as a multi-function centre, and the Talking Newspaper Service introduced a monthly tape in Gujarati. In 1988, Hunter Lodge, Sam Cooper Day Centre and 3 other former tenanted properties were also sold, with the new Resources Centre opened by the Duchess of Kent in 1989. In the same year, an agency agreement was established with Leicestershire County Council to undertake a 3-year project to identify the needs of sight-impaired people who were also deaf or hard of hearing, and a residential care unit for 6 visually impaired patients with learning difficulties was opened at Applegarth, within the grounds of the Kathleen Rutland Home, the first in the country. The 90s. In the early 1990s, 326 Asian blind and partially sighted children, young people and adults were recorded. The low vision clinic was transferred from Leicester Royal Infirmary to the Resources Centre. The first activity holiday for children to the Isle of Wight took place. Alec Crombie also became vice chairman, with Brian Emmerby as chairman in 1992, the first duo to hold these positions who were visually impaired. During this period of time, the charity was also the largest voluntary organisation in the United Kingdom, providing services to blind and partially sighted people in Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland through the successful forging of relationships with 3 local authorities plus a health authority. In 1993, the National Health Service Community Care Act saw New Wycliffe Home apply to be registered for nursing care as well as residential care. 1994 saw the closure of the workshops due to the recession and a programme of refurbishments, including major works at Kathleen Rutland Home. 1996 saw the Welcome Home project at Simmons Crescent officially launched by the Duchess of Gloucester. This project was supported by the Lord Mayor of Leicester, Henry Dunphy, who launched a public appeal to fund the building of 3 bungalows on land at Simmons Crescent, each accommodating 5 people. His Welcome Home appeal raised over £134,000, supported by additional funding from the Housing Corporation. In 1997, Brian Embry stepped down as chairman of the society after 5 years and was succeeded by Alec Crombie. The first service level agreement with Leicestershire County Council also saw new targets set for services provided on behalf of the local authority. In 1999, the Outreach Project commenced, enabling staff to make personal contact with all those blind and visually impaired people in Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland with whom the organisation had lost contact. A children's development officer was appointed to further develop services for young people and their parents. The 2000s. At the turn of the century, the society celebrated the 100th birthday of its oldest active volunteer. Major refurbishment works were completed at New Wycliffe Home to the tune of £200,000, with the home withdrawn from offering new nursing care. An urgent need for a new roof at the Kathleen Rutland home delays plans to bring the old workshop back into use. In 2001, Philip Parkinson retires after 28 years, with Gordon Diffie becoming CEO. A National Lotteries grant of £282,343 is awarded to refurbish the former workshops. This provided extra daycare spaces, better facilities for the Punjabi group, and social and activity space. In 2002, the name Vista is born from a competition to find a new, shorter name for the organisation. This is won by long-term fundraiser June McNeilance. Vista is chosen as it is the Italian word for sight. In 2003, Alec Crombie is succeeded as chairman by Linda Belton. In 2004, Jenny Pierce replaces Gordon Diffie as CEO, and Alec Crombie walks 270 miles from Dorset to Leicester, raising close to £10,000 and ending his walk at the AGM. In 2005, Steve Payne joins Vista as head of services. In 2007, Brian Negus, retired Director of Computing Services at Loughborough University, becomes a trustee before succeeding Linda as chair in 2008. In the same year, Alec Crombie retires as a trustee after 32 years. The 2010s. The Duchess of Rutland holds fundraising garden parties annually, starting in 2010 to support the charity and raise awareness. In 2012, Sue Disley, Assistant Director of Adult Services at Leicester County Council, joins as a trustee. Deafblind support is introduced, a new area of work for the charity, and 3 years' worth of lottery funding is awarded to set up a befriending service. In 2013, Brian Negus retires from the board, Jenny Pierce is replaced as CEO by Paul Bott, and Sue Disley becomes chair of trustees. The befriending service now has 99 trained volunteers, 40 matches made, and 50 people on a waiting list. In 2014, the first Vista shop in Leicester city centre selling aids and equipment is opened. The Resources Centre at Gedding Road is closed, with staff relocating to 16 Newark. The building itself was, in part, Grade 2 listed and expensive to maintain. It stood on part of a larger site that was sold for development. A mobile support centre now operates, fondly known as Elsie, thanks to funding through a legacy from John and Elsie. This enables access to rural villages, offering services such as eye screening and also accessible equipment to enable independent living, information and guidance. In 2015, an extension at Wycliffe Home is built and the Butterfly Lounge is opened by the Duchess of Rutland. A joint project with the Department of Health focusing on the needs of individuals with sight loss and dementia, a leading project in this field and one of the first of its kind. Brian Negus is nominated for a Digital Hero Award in a Talk Talk event and wins Hero for Public Support in his work with Vista's Digital Buddy scheme, receiving £5,000 for Vista. 2015 also sees Oakham and Loughborough charity shops open to generate more unrestricted income, followed by the last garden party held at Belvoir Lodge by the Duchess of Rutland. In 2016, Louisa Hosegood replaces Sue Disley as Chair of Trustees, and New Wycliffe Home wins Care Home of the Year in Leicester. The Big Lottery award £266,809 to Family Support Services, and a charity shop opens in Siston. In 2017, 522 children are now officially registered. The helpline receives close to 3,000 calls, over 8,000 people access eye clinics, and more than 55,000 talking newspapers are distributed. Another charity shop opens in Roughly. The equipment and aid shop in Leicester closes due to decreasing sales and availability of products more readily elsewhere and online. Kathleen Rutland House celebrates its 50th anniversary, and a sensory room opens at Simmons Crescent. In 2018, Sue Disley resigns from the Board of Trustees to become an ambassador supporting Vista's work. Children's Vision Screening Service, first piloted in 2016, completes its first year working with 865 children aged 4 to 5. In 2019, Digital Vision commences to support people with getting the most from technology. Susan Hoth replaces Paul Bott as CEO, Pauline Tagg, MBE, becomes chairperson, and Children in Need award £108,152 for 3 years to resume children's activities and develop the Children and Young People website. These services had to stop for a period due to lack of funding. A sixth charity shop is opened in Shepshed, the Deafblind Service celebrates its 20th anniversary, and the charity celebrates its 160th birthday. A further National Lottery Community Fund grant of £275,000 is also received to support the Family Support Service. The 2020s. The COVID pandemic of 2020 sees all social groups cease and the remaining fleet of buses owned by Vista sold. This service had been invaluable in taking people to and from groups, but as more community-based activities were introduced and costs to maintain the fleet rose, it became unnecessary. Teams calls were set up offering around 20 people per session tech support, and one-to-ones were organised where permissible. This continued until September, when a new project named Digital Dynamos received lottery funding. Applegarth House celebrated its 30th anniversary in the same year, and the Oakham Charity Bookshop opened. The effect of the pandemic continued to be felt in 2021, with many services including low vision clinics paused. In 2022, Brian Negus received a British Empire Medal for his work during lockdown. In 2023, Vista moved to Provincial House in Newark, celebrating with an open day. In the same year, the Digital Dynamos project concluded. In 2024, the Tech Together project starts alongside a Tea and Tech Talk group. After sustaining significant annual losses through the running of our residential operations, a decision is made to move away from care. The New Wycliffe Home is transferred to Midlands Care, and the decision is made to close Applegarth and Kathleen Rutland House, with Simmons Crescents retained. A new 3-year strategy is launched to meet the growing needs of the sight loss community, focusing on helping people to live well in their communities, raising awareness of better eye health and sight loss prevention, as well as making Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland a more accessible place to live. In late 2025, Simmons Crescent is transferred to Cara Healthcare. In February 2026, an emergency appeal is launched to raise £2 million to save Vista. In May, it is announced that the organisation's services will be transferred to a new provider, Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland Sensory Services, delivered by BID Services. All services will continue to be delivered by the committed and passionate team, ensuring continuity of support for our sight loss community. In 2025 to 2026, Vista made 22,243 meaningful connections with people living with sight loss. 99% of people reported increased independence and choice, 97% improved social connections, and 97% improved health and well-being. Closing remarks. From 1858, the organisation now known as Vista has been at the forefront of developing services which support people living with sight loss and advocate directly for their needs in communities. We are confident that this legacy will be carried forward by BID Services, who will ensure that services continue to be accessible by those who need them across Leicester, Leicestershire and Rutland. The legacy of Vista is one of impact, and one where the needs of people often overlooked by society have been consistently fought and campaigned for. We are hugely grateful to everyone who has been a part of this 168-year legacy, and hope that you will continue to support colleagues and friends as they work with BID Services to shape and influence the next 168 years of support for our sight loss community.